So, second part of dealing with the psychopathic sister. Um, things relationship wise with this person is so horrible that when we got older, she tried to be controlling toward me again, and I was like, no. And I can't remember what it was, but at this point, it was just so overpowering, overwhelming, where she told me the decisions I had to make in my life, you see. And I was like, no, no, no. And she would blow up at me. And my mom's like, Justin, obey your sister. I looked over at her, my mom, I'm like, I am a 25-year-old man that manages safety on a drilling rig. And she goes, oh, yeah, and just does that and dismisses it. But that's how bad it was. That when we got into adulthood, my parents were, Justin has to obey Nicole. Justin has to obey Nicole. Because they instilled that in us while we were growing up, that Nicole had control over me. But, back to what I was saying, is there was a lot of gaslighting in this family too. I remember when I was about, early 20s, and my dad said, Justin, after Nicole was being vicious toward me, she was angry at me for something, who knows. I know she was really upset that I was starting to make money and getting authority in my job, and she was rather jealous about that. Not proud of me. Not proud of me like I was always proud of her when she would succeed or do good at something. Never proud of me at all. So basically, she was angry at me because I had succeeded at something or had accomplished something. I don't remember what. And she wanted an apology from me, um, for some accomplishment. And I was very calm with her while she was freaking out over the phone. And then she hung up on me and she called my parents about basically she deserved an apology because I got a promotion at the airport or something like that. And my dad says, Justin, come here. We need to sit down. We need to talk. And again, it was the same thing where they're like, you don't have to mean it. Well, you have to say you're sorry and blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, I don't believe that just because I don't mean it doesn't mean I have to sacrifice my integrity as a human being. And if she has a problem with that and she cannot function because she cannot view me as a human being, then that's certainly something she needs to work on herself. But I'm certainly not going to add to a problem and conflict and cause harm to myself. And at that point, my parents would roll their eyes because in their eyes, like, you're just Justin, our son. You're not a human being. You're the mistake child. That's how they viewed it. And he said, well, growing up, your sister always stuck up for you. And when he said that, my jaw hit the floor. Like, what did he just say? And then he finishes his thing. And I said, okay, name one time that she did not cause harm to me and you allowed her to get away with it, and a time that she actually stuck up for me for something, as far as something happened and it was an issue for me and she stuck up for me. Name one time. And he froze. And then he just stared at me and he kind of grinned a little bit, like, oh shit. Because he had developed, my parents, through the gaslighting, had developed this whole fake scenario about what our past was like and what our lives were like. And to this day, their whole story about how they raised us and treated us is completely fabricated. And they were making this up as they went along while I was growing up. They'd be doing one thing and be telling people another, you know? It's like, oh yeah, I always take my son out to do this. And it's like, we went one time. That happened once. And it was because we were stranded and we were stuck going there. You didn't take me there out of the kindness of your heart. But they're always like, oh, I sacrifice myself and my time, or I care about my children so much that I do this. That's never the case. Never the case. I know this is talking about my parents a lot more than my sister, but it ties in because you can see how they supported her very abusive, controlling behavior toward me. And they would be very offended by me refusing to be a victim and roll their eyes at me. And anyway, when he kind of grinned, it hurt because it wasn't realization it hit him like shit. We've really treated my son really poorly and abused him a great deal. It's like, oh, ha ha ha, that's true. You never did have a break. We never did do anything nice for you. She really did always just harm you, type thing. And that brought a grin to his face, like it was funny to him. I'm not gonna finish this part. I'm so sorry. I mean, I'll get back to this later.